this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
More and more people are now tuning in to GB News.
They shape our programmes, we try and incorporate them in our shows as much as we can.
Our audience are really interactive.
Our listeners, our viewers, they're growing.
And that's because they tell their friends and family about what we're doing here at GB News.
It feels like the depth of that connection has strengthened as well.
Thank you so much for speaking to us on GB News.
Come and say hello to everybody that's here from GB News.
It's been an exceptional event.
We've come a long way here now.
Thank you, GB News!
What's so unique about GB News viewers is that they really, really love our country.
And they talk about us so proudly. We're on a journey together.
We are here for all of Britain. We believe in this country, we believe in its people, and we believe in all of the communities who live here.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good morning. It's 9:30 on Friday, the 28th of August. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Sam Francis and Miriam Cates, and you're watching on GB News.
Yes, plenty of stories coming up today. We'll be looking at the grooming gangs across the United Kingdom, with new reports out this morning that they could well be linked. They say in that report claims that they're linked to crime across the country, from Plymouth right up to Dundee. But first, we'll be taking you to Middlesbrough.
Yes, the latest on the gang warfare there as Teesside sees violence rise across the region. Will Godley is there for us.
Yes, a spate of violent incidents over the last week has left 9 people dead, including 2 police officers. Well, today, 200 extra police officers from across the country have been drafted in to bring back law and order.
Elsewhere today, the search for 33 missing Brits in Nepal intensifies as fears grow that the country could be hours away from a second deadly flash flood.
And breaking news this morning, the King has extended his deepest and most heartfelt condolences to the Norwegian royal family following the death of his dear cousin, King Harold, aged 89.
And a GB News exclusive, the Rapists Crime Network revealed grooming gang offenders are connected to over 100 convicted organised criminals across the country.
Defence deficit. Defence Secretary John Healey is set to scrap his own military spending target of 3% of GDP by 2030.
And villagers fight back. People in Piddington release a protest song called Battle for Britain as the village prepares for a referendum against migrant accommodation. Take a listen to this.
It's the battle for Britain. Piddington roars. Villages and towns hear the call. United we stand, shoulder to shoulder.
And a cowboy builders blitz. The Prime Minister is cracking down on rogue traders ripping off households.
Elsewhere, cheers to no beers. People in their 40s, that's me, are the last generations of regular drinkers as Gen Z, Sam, stay away from the booze. And welcome to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce. Is it Andrew Pearce? Who is it really? Who's behind the bar?
Oh, well, Miriam, it's been a great morning so far. The country's just in a complete mess. What is going on? What is going on?
Oh, Andrew, we haven't unfortunately got Andrew's favourite story today, Harry and Meghan.
Oh, thank goodness.
Doesn't really.
Yeah.
He,
not one of my favourites too,
it,
to be fair.
As do I. Sam, it's fantastic to be hosting
with
you for the first time. I no longer have to make jokes at your expense across the
You can just do it right to my face.
Very exciting. No, really, really good to be hosting with you. We've got a fun show ahead, haven't you? And some very serious news as well, because this is an extraordinary story, Sam. This gang warfare in Middlesbrough. I was looking at the statistics this morning, and Middlesbrough has the highest crime rates in the country outside of central London. Violent crime, sexual crime, all sorts of crime rife there. And I don't think many people really really realised what was going on there before this tragic event at the weekend of 7 people killed in that car crash. And now fires, stabbings, it's disorder.
Yeah, it's been going on for a long time, and it's now really emerging onto the streets, ordinary streets, and the residents there are seriously concerned, but they need more action from the government, and hopefully this force of 200 police officers now heading their way will make a difference, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, because we've been hearing that people are afraid, or have been afraid in the past, to report any crimes at all to the police for fear of reprisal, almost kind of like a mafia situation. So, yeah, it's become very challenging.
Yeah,
but I think our reporter, Will Godley, is there for us now. Will, what can you tell us about the incidences in Middlesbrough?
Well, good morning to both of you. Yes, a string of incidents which started almost a week ago now with that crash on the A66, of course, killing 7 people, including 2 police officers serving in Cleveland Police. And throughout the week, there have been a number of other incidents, including a house fire on Wednesday, which killed a 7-year-old girl and her aunt. 2 other houses have been rammed, and also a man has been stabbed, and police now investigating whether or not they are linked together. The 3 incidents since that crash, police have not confirmed are linked yet, but their investigations continuing. And amid all these fears about why these incidents are happening, well, 200 extra police officers have been drafted in from across the country, and they go from detectives right through to armed officers. And the leader of the council here has called on Andy Burnham to provide yet more resources. Andy Burnham has said his government is offering all the resources they need. Well, let's now speak to the former mayor of Middlesbrough, Andy Preston, who joins me now. Andy, these fears of gang warfare, is that something that's new to Middlesbrough? Why are there these fears?
No, it's not. Obviously, look, the headlines are new. The atrocious, depressing and saddening things that have happened are unusual. You know, the rapidity and the ferocity of them. But gang tit-for-tat, low-level drug-dealing groups fighting with each other, intimidating decent working-class people, that has gone on for years and years. And by the way, this isn't a Middlesbrough issue. This stuff is happening where you live, the nearest big town or city. I promise it's happening. It's kicked off here, but the intimidation, the drug dealing, the underclass that's outside of society doesn't play by the rules, they are where you live too.
But why do you think it has kicked off here, though? Is there something that's triggered this?
This is a high crime area, it always has been. I would make it clear, though, although right now it is England's crime capital, its crime rate is not dissimilar to Manchester's, Hull's or Blackpool's. And it's kicked off here because things have been allowed to fester. There's been a lack of determination by some politicians, sometimes by the police, to absolutely get their sleeves rolled up and dig in. And of course, what makes things worse, the prisons crisis. Even if the police have the resources and arrest someone, getting them to court takes forever. Getting them sentenced takes forever. And then is there a place for them in prison? The whole system is wired badly, it's fallen apart, and we need to rethink the way we do it.
200 extra police officers drafted in to help Cleveland Police deal with these string of incidents over the last week. Do you think that will make a difference? There are calls from the leader of the council here that that's not enough, more needs to be done. What do you think?
I think 200 extra coppers is brilliant, because do you know what? There are a lot of scroats out there, and as I say, making decent working class people's lives miserable, and too few of them are arrested. And if these 200 coppers are going out there, kicking in doors and dragging them out down the local nick and arrest them, that's brilliant. What I'm wary of is that maybe they go for the low-hanging fruit, and the difficult ones, the ones that are a bit more slippery, perhaps a bit more difficult and dangerous, they remain out of the clutches of the police. So I want to see these 200 coppers really getting involved and getting the people that spread misery into the cells and into court, and then we need to find a prison place. But I welcome the 200, but look, could the police have more money? Of course they could. Could the council have more money? Of course it could. It's a culture change within the police and within our nation that we need. We are too soft on crime. We need to stop being sympathetic empathetic and focusing on rehabilitation first. We need to arrest criminals, lock them up, get them off the streets, and then be sympathetic.
I mean, you're saying it's a culture problem, but what we've heard from some MPs in the area is that the police just isn't funded to deal with a town that has a high crime hotspot.
OK. More money is always welcome. More money is always useful. But I guarantee you what we have here in Middlesbrough, Manchester, Hull, Blackpool and across the whole country is a culture issue in policing, in the court systems and in our institutions where we've got things wrong, we've been too soft and we've got our priorities wrong, where we sympathise with the criminals and try and work out why they've done it instead of locking them up. Lock them up, then work out how to improve their lives. Lock them up first.
How much of this is a sort of opportunity issue, a lack of opportunity for young people, for young men in Middlesbrough? Is that, do you think, driving this crime?
Not at all. When people tell you, and you will hear people talking about Margaret Thatcher was around 40 years ago, people talking about austerity and a lack of jobs. Utter nonsense. For years there have been incredible opportunities here. The camera can't see this, but I'm pointing to my left. There is a massive building. There is a huge international games company there. Middlesbrough hosts an incredible tech sector. It's got vibrant businesses, incredible things going on. If anybody or politician tells you there's a lack of opportunity, tell them to shut up, because it's not true.
I mean, I was just speaking to someone who walked past. They came and spoke to me. He said that he's at university here and he's noticed opportunities fall over the few years he's been here. He said the port was once prosperous, now it's failing.
OK. Opportunities for graduates across Britain, Europe, America and the world have declined in the last 3 years. That's not a Middlesbrough issue. Within the last 10 years, there have never been so many jobs, so many opportunities, so many exciting careers in Middlesbrough and other places. Anyone that tells you this is about unemployment or youth clubs is talking nonsense, and tell them to shut up.
OK. Andy Preston, thank you very much for joining us on GB News. Interesting to hear that perspective here in Middlesbrough, where, of course, there are these fears over gang warfare. 200 extra officers drafted in after a spate of violent incidents that's left 9 people dead.
Will Godley, thank you so much for that report, and a really interesting interview there, Sam, with Andy Preston, the former mayor, saying it's much more than about just a lack of youth clubs and things for young people to do. Well, joining us now is the former Met police officer and author, Graham Wetton. Graham, good morning. This is a nightmare for the police. Obviously, it's been bubbling away for some time, this situation. But what do you make of Andy Preston's comments, and what do you think the police now need to do?
Yeah, good morning to you both. I think you made some good points there. I wouldn't describe some of the issues in the same language that you use, but there's clearly an issue in that area. I think it opens up a broader question about funding and resourcing across the country and actually addressing crime problems. It is one of the highest crime areas in England, Cleveland, surprisingly. Small number of officers. You spread that, I think it's about 1,500 officers, spread that over 24/7 policing, and they are centred around the urban areas. That puts a huge demand on them to deal with incidents. The 200 extra officers, and the word extra always makes me smile because they're taken from elsewhere. So they're not just sitting there waiting to go to Middlesbrough and assist. They're taken from other parts of the country to go and assist them. But it does cover detectives, frontline responsing. I think there needs to be more of a proactive response to deal with crimes as they come in. He's right there about low-hanging fruit. Policing may need to address its priorities, but from a policing perspective, if you deal with the low-hanging fruit, as he called them, it does lead you on to those organising these crime gangs, and that's where policing's focuses and priorities should be looking, which is why you're getting detectives join this 200 as well.
Graham, you may not be in a position to answer this, but of course public fear can often run ahead of confirmed facts at this stage. I'm just wondering if you know what we do know for certain this morning and what remains unconfirmed at this stage.
I think they're still dealing with the awful incident last weekend on the A66, that there were seven fatalities from that collision, the house fire in the middle of the week. So there's clearly been an ongoing issue in the area that policing are dealing with. So we've highlighted, well, you've rightly highlighted those 2 very serious incidents. Doesn't mean that these are happening every single day across the whole area. There might be some minor incidents taking place. But the fear of crime is always a big thing, because we live in such a society now where social media, news is very, very easy to achieve and obtain and see. So it makes the public, the general public, more fearful of crime. There's probably a greater fear of crime now in the area than there was 10 days ago. But I think with the additional officers, policing needs to focus more on a proactive response, a visible presence, deal with the issues as they come in, start making arrests. But as the previous guest mentioned there, the issue doesn't stop there because there's such a backlog in the criminal justice system. Getting these cases into court, so removing these individuals from the street is exceptionally challenging. There are no places in prison to put remand prisoners. There are no places in prison for some people that are then convicted of crime, so they're coming back out on the streets and then reoffending. So it's an awful vicious circle.
And Graham, obviously the situation is particularly bad in Middlesbrough, but Andy Preston did say that if you go to any large town or city, you will find areas where there are gangs in charge in the same way. Do you recognise that description?
To a certain degree, I wouldn't agree with him completely, but to a certain degree, there are parts of the country where there are issues of criminality that are going beyond what the police resources have to deal with them. People a bit like me have been raising the issue around police resources and experience for a number of years now. There are no more people leaving policing than joining. So numbers across the country are reducing, but the experience levels are reducing far quicker, if that makes sense. So we've got very experienced people leaving policing. They are being somewhat replaced by newer recruits, which is fantastic. Welcome anybody who wants to join the police. But we're losing significant levels of experience to deal with this. It takes some time to get to understand and know all your policies and powers, how to communicate with people, and when there's a time for proactive policing response rather than just talking to people.
Sorry, Miriam. Speaking of that response from police, just looking ahead at the days to come, what can we expect in a typical situation like this to hear from police? Will there be more updates, more information coming forward? Obviously, that's what local residents will certainly be hoping for.
I think they've done quite well so far. They put a very timely update out on the Monday, which negated the initial theory about this being part of a social media or TikTok phenomenon. It was linked to organised crime. There were 2 vehicles involved last Saturday. That's then obviously escalated throughout the week with other incidents taking place. So their updates and media briefings so far have been good and prompt. They have to balance it with having a very, very serious, ongoing, complex investigation running at the same time as having to provide information. And the level and degree of information is always challenging for a senior investigating officer to decide what actually needs to be released. I think we'll see a little bit more come out maybe over the weekend, as in maybe another update. But it depends how that investigation is progressing as to what you can release, because you don't want to start alerting other people you're about to go and arrest. So there may be some more updates over the weekend, maybe some more content about what these 200 officers will be doing and where they're being deployed, but maybe not much more than that.
Graham Whetton, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Graham Whetton, who's a former Met Police officer. Isn't that interesting, Sam, how this story has developed? Because at the weekend, when this tragic car crash happened, the first topic of discussion was about TikTok hosting videos, encouraging people to drive dangerously. And there's certainly, that is certainly a serious issue, encouraging young men particularly to seek thrills for likes. But as it's developed, it's so much more than that.
Yeah, and it's causing rumours to flourish online, which is a real concern, and puts the police to one extent on the back foot, almost having to chase those rumours and reaffirm what they do know and what they, in a certain sense, they can't even say certain things at this stage because it's an active investigation.
Exactly, and they don't want to give intelligence to the gangs that they're trying to defeat. A very, very difficult situation, but of course we will keep you up to date with that.
Yes, but still ahead, we're going to bring you the very latest from Nepal, where the search is ongoing for 33 missing Brits, and a second flood could be just hours away, according to officials on the ground.
But up next, in their fight against a migrant camp being placed near their village, the people of Piddington in Oxfordshire have released a song highlighting their need for a referendum.
We'll bring you that a little bit later, but first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast. If you're heading away for the final weekend of summer, there is some drier and brighter weather on the cards for Spain and Italy. Very hot in the Mediterranean. Some quite intense thunderstorms, though, affecting parts of northern Italy in towards Slovenia and Croatia as well through Thursday and Friday and into the weekend. They will tend to fade away. You can see that very hot and sunny weather across the Mediterranean, and it's going to stay that way into next week as well, with temperatures in the mid-30s. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
A tetraplegic veteran is embarking on a 79-mile journey in an off-road wheelchair to prove that life can still be extraordinary.
Yes, Danny Mayer, who served in the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards in Iraq, was paralysed from the neck down after a motorcycle accident 6 years ago.
Well, the 41-year-old Glaswegian is now preparing to travel the Great Glen Way in Scotland, of course.
Feeling nervous now, being just a month from it. Stand by my idiotic phrase. Definitely that's starting to approach me a little bit more. Hopefully a little bit more inspiring by the end of the journey, but I'm feeling like, you know, as most people do when they take on a challenge, or at least something that's out of their reach, maybe a little chaotic.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
There's also a big issue with pigeons in Norwich, but the Greens are not allowing them to be culled. They're supported by a group called Peck Savers, which I think is rather good. And somebody turned up at a council meeting dressed as a pigeon. And you just think, wait a minute, you know, the world's on fire, there are various wars around the place, and they're obsessing about how to deal with pigeons. It does seem quite bizarre, their priorities. But they have proposed pigeon contraception. What? I would like to see that in action. Yeah. I would like to see somebody try and... this is a family show, but I cannot understand how that would happen. But it does seem to me that their priorities are completely upside down.
That's what some Green councillors have advocated.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Royal Navy was the most powerful navy in the world at that time. That was really the bigger ships, the sort of capital ships they're called. When it came to small ships, we really weren't. And especially minesweepers, there was something like 30 sweepers to protect 20,000 miles of coastline. So Churchill, as First Lord of the Admiralty, realised quickly something needed to be done, and he mobilised what became known as the Royal Naval Patrol Service, rather a dry name. But he requisitioned 200 trawlers, deep-sea trawlers from Grimsby, Hull, all those big sort of fishing ports, and their crews. And they were fish decks, or fish holes were turned into mess decks. Fishing nets were removed, replaced by sweeping gear.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. It's 9 minutes to 10.
Yeah, and this is Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Miriam Cates and Sam Francis. Well, Piddington's protest against plans to house more than 1,200 asylum seekers at a military base has resulted in the release of an anthem as the village prepares to hold its second independence referendum.
Well, the anthem, dubbed Battle for Britain, was created by one of the village's supporters on social media. Take a listen.
We didn't ask to make the headlines, didn't ask to make the news, but when they came without a warning, we had to choose. It's the battle for Britain, Piddington roars, villages and towns hear the call. United we stand, shoulder to shoulder, fighting with a ballad, that's our kind of war.
What do you make of that tune?
Well, it has a slight American accent.
Yeah, it's got a little Bev Turner twang, hasn't it?
Yeah, I absolutely support the cause of the villagers to prevent the asylum camp being placed nearby. But I wonder if invoking a wartime spirit is quite the right mood.
Potentially
But
not the right mood.
I understand they're very desperate about this.
Well, speaking to GB News previously, the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has said that the government is working at it, and we understand, he says, people's concerns, and will look into the issues raised by the good people of Piddington.
Well, Piddington resident Jamie Perkin joins us now. Jamie, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Britain's Newsroom. There's some quite creative campaigning that you and your fellow villagers are trying here to persuade the government not to put this migrant camp near to your village. How much success do you think you're having so far?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me. A hard one to answer, really, because no one's speaking to us. So I suppose you could say successfully, not very well. But in terms of the campaign nationwide, I think this is going incredibly well. This is our next step of trying to make the government listen, because we have tried everything. We've been emailing Downing Street daily. Andy Burnham said a couple of weeks ago that he would listen to the good people of Piddington. Don't know what he meant by that, but he hasn't contacted us. He hasn't spoken to us. And the government have tried every legal way possible not to acknowledge us. And when I mean acknowledge us, we've heard not a single thing. The only thing we have heard is Andy Burnham's words for a couple of weeks ago.
Jamie, understandably, you are expecting the government to resolve this issue on behalf of the residents in Piddington. But if not in Piddington, where? What's the alternative?
OK, good question. So first of all, I think it's really important that we don't just say Piddington, because this isn't just about our little village. There's other villages surrounding the area. There's Bicester, which is the closest town. This is very much about the local area, not just our little village. And it's a question that's quite hard to answer, because until we get given any detail from the government, all I would say with this is that people keep mentioning the word barracks, and people keep saying, oh, yeah, it's really important that we use old army barracks to put these people in. What we have is an empty field with some derelict asbestos buildings, no services, on a main road, on a sharp bend with a 50 or 60 mile an hour road where there's been fatalities over the last couple of years. All I would say is, rather than saying where we think they should go, it's about saying that this just isn't the right place.
But I suppose the question is then, if this isn't the right place, what is the right place? And actually, is the message here to the government that we don't want to have 97,000 asylum seekers housed anywhere in the country, whether that's in hotels, in HMOs, in camps like the one proposed? Do you think people need to actually be braver and say what they're really thinking, which is that it is a problem that we have so many undocumented people in our country who've come over, a lot of them illegally, and actually the government needs to take a much stronger stance?
I think, I'll let you guys, and I think I'll let your listeners decide that. I have my views, and I think most people have their views. All I'm going to say, and all we are trying to say, is that we will do our bit, and Andy Burnham's asking people to do their bit. But doing your bit is not having four men to one villager, or 10 men to one lady in our village. That isn't doing our bit. I think everyone nationwide knows that we have a very large problem with asylum seekers at the moment. But
Jamie, I'm so sorry, we are going to have to leave it there. We have reached the top of the hour, but thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Really appreciate you coming on. Lots more to come on Britain's Newsroom. First of all, your weather.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. The M25 clockwise is affected by a collision between junctions 27 and 28 in Epping. The M25 anti-clockwise is closed between junctions 20 and 18 in Chorleywood. There is a collision on the M5 northbound between junctions 12 and 11A in Gloucester Central. The M56 is closed between junctions 2 and 3 in Sharston. In Scotland, the M80 southbound has a queue, and 2 lanes are restricted between the slips at junction 4 in Mollinsburn. And on the trains, TransPennine Express and cross-country services are facing major disruption between Stalybridge and Huddersfield, and between Berwick-upon-Tweed and Newcastle. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's the biggest, greatest Great British giveaway of the year so far. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this brand new McClure Fusion could be yours. We'll also boost your bank account too with a further £35,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like.
For a chance to win, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB23 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 23rd of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Very good morning to you. Just gone 10 o'clock on Friday the 28th of August, live across the UK. This is Britain's Newsroom with Sam Francis and Miriam Cates.
Well, we have the latest on the Middlesbrough gang war. More than 200 additional police officers are sent to Teesside as a spate of serious violence grips the region.
Yes, it's been nearly a week of violent incidents that's left now 9 people dead, including 2 police officers whose tributes are left here behind me. Well, 200 extra officers drafted in today, with the likes of armed officers to detectives here to help set fears of violent gang warfare aside.
The search for 33 missing Brits continues today in Nepal as fears are growing that the country could be just hours away from a second deadly flash flood.
And some breaking news this morning. Flags are now flying at half-mast at Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, Windsor Castle and the Palace of Holyrood House after the King of Norway, King Harald V, dies aged 89.
Reports of a rapist crime network have emerged this morning as grooming gang offenders are claimed to be connected to over 100 convicted organised criminals across the country.
And the defence deficit. Defence Secretary John Healey is set to scrap his own military spending target of 3% of GDP by 2030.
Villagers in Piddington are fighting back as people in the area release a protest song called Battle of Britain as the village prepares for a referendum against migrant accommodation. Take a listen.
It's the battle for Britain. Piddington roars. Villages and towns hear the call. United we stand, shoulder to shoulder.
And a cowboy builder blitz. The Prime Minister is cracking down on rogue traders ripping off households.
Well, Prime Minister Andy Burnham says that the government is putting cowboy builders out of business, but opposition parties say this is a half-baked announcement that's going to do nothing to stop the bad guys still fleecing you.
And cheers to no beers. People in their 40s are the last generation of regular drinkers as Gen Z, Gen Z, whatever you call it, stay away from the booze.
Hello, good morning and welcome. It's 2 minutes past 10. You're watching Britain's Newsroom with Miriam Cates and Sam Francis.
So you're staying away from the beers?
I'm not a great beer drinker, but I do enjoy wine.
What would you go for? Wine?
Yeah.
Red, white, rosé?
Any. Yeah. Any of the above.
Never takes your fancy.
Probably not at 10 o'clock in the morning.
No, perhaps not.
But what do you make of this the finding that actually younger people are not drinking nearly so often?
Well, I've seen a huge rise, certainly here in London, of no alcohol or low alcohol drinks being offered. There are even some bars that only do no alcohol drinks, and I think that's fantastic. I think there is no reason not to, or to feel ashamed about not having alcohol if you don't want to.
No, absolutely. Culture has really changed, because certainly kind of 30 or 40 years ago in London and in professional environments, lots of people would drink at lunchtime.
Yeah, Fleet Street out after.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's completely, almost completely gone now. People don't tend to drink at lunchtime and then go back to work.
Just
Do you think it's improved or reduced our productivity as a nation, Sam?
It's probably gone up. I think creativity's probably gone down, because I think when you have a little bit of a buzz, your creativity goes up, I think.
Not so productive. Sleeping at the desk, it's not a good look. Maybe. We are definitely not asleep at our desk this morning. We are very much awake and bringing you the news. And, of course, our main story today is more than 200 police officers from across the country have been drafted into Middlesbrough as fears are growing of gang violence erupting in the town. Yeah,
since Saturday's fatal crash on the A66, sadly killing 2 police officers and 5 young men, a series of suspected gang-related incidents have taken place in the area.
Well, GBNews' national reporter Will Godley is there for us on the scene. Will, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. A fascinating interview that you did in the last hour with the former mayor of Middlesbrough, Andy Preston. Have you spoken to locals? What are their feelings? Are they afraid? Is this just normal for them, or has this really been an incident of heightened tension in the last few days?
Well, that's an interesting question, and different people here give different answers. Some people, one person I spoke to earlier on today said until this week he was unaware that Middlesbrough could be so dangerous. He did, though, say he lived in a different area to the parts of Middlesbrough that's had these issues over the last week. Someone else, though, I spoke to last night, the taxi driver, said he's now having to change what he does. He finishes work at 10 p.m. now and will refuse to take people to certain postcodes in Middlesbrough because he feels they are just no-go areas, and he feels he would get into unwanted trouble and attention if he went to certain parts of this town. Well, that's something the former mayor of Middlesbrough, Andy Preston, speaking to him about half an hour ago on your programme, disputed. He said there are no-go areas in Middlesbrough. He felt all the areas are safe unless you're asking for trouble, in which case you might find it. But he felt that the crime rate here, despite it being the highest anywhere in the country outside central London, was no different from other towns in the north. But of course, Middlesbrough has been home to a number of violent incidents over what is nearly now the last week, of course, starting in the early hours of Saturday morning with that crash on the A66, killing 5 people in a VW Passat, which was driving down the wrong way of that dual carriageway, crashing into a police car, which until a few seconds before the crash was pursuing the vehicle. And tributes behind me, floral tributes for those 2 officers who died in that crash. And since that, and as investigations are ongoing, a number of incidents have also taken place. On Wednesday, a house fire in which a 7-year-old girl and her aunt were killed just a mile or so away from where that crash took place on the A66. And since then as well, a house was rammed by a car and also a man stabbed yesterday. Well, the police have given no confirmation that these incidents are linked. That's something they're investigating. And to help them investigate and to help them police here in Middlesbrough amid this spate of violent incidents, 200 extra police officers have been deployed here from forces across the country, as far down south as South Yorkshire, plus also from the likes of Durham and also Northumbria, and also enlisting specialist officers from the National Crime Agency. Now, reacting to this news, the leader of the council here, Alec Brown, has said people need to feel safe in their homes, and that's why they needed these extra officers, but has called called on the Prime Minister for more. He said it's not enough. Andy Burnham, though, has said the government is offering all of the support that the authorities here need. But local MP, Tory MP Matt Vickers has said this.
In Cleveland, we've got a really acute problem. We've got an issue that's a small force. We've got some huge levels of deprivation in this part of the world. All of our public services in this part of the world actually are facing real pressure. They need funding. They don't just need 200 police today and tomorrow. They need to see that investment to put more police on the streets. And what they had since this government came in, obviously under the last government, police numbers across the country hit a record high. In recent times, they've been hit, the police force and the fire brigade, with that national insurance rise. Yes, we taxed our own police off the streets.
Shadow Policing Minister and local MP Matt Vickers speaking to GB News a little bit earlier on. And as all of these incidents taking place and locals fearing there could be gang links to these incidents here, well, on social media, videos were posted last night from a vigil to one of the youths who died in that car crash. He was in the VW Passat, which crashed into the police car on Saturday in the early hours of the morning. Michael Cahill, the 23-year-old man, a vigil for him was held last night. And as you can see from these images, cars were driving around a field erratically, fireworks and smoke bombs were being let off, and also cars were set alight as part of this vigil last night. Many here, no doubt, will be seeing those images, wondering why that was appropriate for a vigil for one of the youths who was in that VW Passat. Of course, five youths who died in that car which crashed into the police car in the early hours of Saturday morning. Well, those police investigations are continuing. 2 people have been charged with alleged links to organised crime. But really, what local MPs are saying here is that Cleveland Police just doesn't have enough funding to be able to deal with the prevalence of crime that Middlesbrough faces.
Will, thank you very much. Will Godley there from Middlesbrough for us this morning. We'll be back with you, no doubt, throughout the rest of the day, keeping tabs on what is this fast-moving police operation. Middlesbrough residents waking up with more questions than answers at this stage.
Absolutely, very worrying for them indeed. Well, moving on to some breaking news now. GB News understands that lawyers acting for Prince Harry have written to the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, urging her to personally intervene in the decision over whether the Prince and his family should receive taxpayer-funded police protection.
Yes, the Sussexes are calling on the Home Secretary to step in as the dispute over security arrangements continues. Our royal correspondent Cameron Walker is with us now as this news is just breaking. What more do we know, and is this going to see a change in their security arrangements?
Well, as things stand, Harry and Meghan have been in the UK for 2 days with their 2 young children. What they have at the moment is a telephone number for a police liaison officer, as well as their privately funded security team. That privately funded team cannot carry firearms. They also don't have access to the same intelligence that the Metropolitan Police have done. So what GB News what GB News understands is that lawyers, as you said, have written to the Home Secretary urging her to personally intervene. But it's not as simple as that, because the Home Secretary, although she's politically responsible for security arrangements of individuals in the United Kingdom, she's not responsible for the decision itself. So that is done by an independent RAVEC committee, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, made up of Home Office officials as well as government officials, not Secret Service, MI5, MI6, police, and indeed the royal household. They are the ones that make the ultimate decision. A risk management board has already been carried out. That happened last month, assessing the level of risk on Harry and Meghan. Of course, now it's not an ad hoc basis. They are permanently, or at least for the time being, in the United Kingdom. So what the lawyers, I believe, are hoping the Home Secretary will do is essentially speed up this process, because I think from their perspective, various civil servants being on holiday because it's August is not a good enough excuse that this decision has to be delayed until the next kind of timed RAVEC meeting, which could well be in the autumn or even in the Christmas periods, 6 months away. In that time, of course, they would say that Harry and Meghan have been put at risk. Now, on the other hand, they are not working members of the royal family. Why should they be, if their critics would argue, be entitled to taxpayer-funded police protection? And that is the question, really, that Ravek will be weighing up. But they won't be swayed by public opinion or the status of the two of them as individuals. It will be based, in theory, purely on the risk to them, and we don't know the answer to that.
The previous Ravek decision, though, would have been made before they were aware, I assume, that Harry and Meghan were returning to the UK, so now the situation, the circumstances have changed.
Exactly, so they would probably have to re-look at that. The last risk management review that was carried out ahead of the one that happened last month was 2019. For Prince Harry, he was still a working member of the royal family. He was put in the highest category, according to Harry and what he would say, which was the same as Queen Elizabeth II and the then Prime Minister Theresa May. They would argue not much has changed in terms of his threat risk. Clearly, they don't know the full details because they don't have access to that intelligence. Everyone who sits on Ravek will have access to that and will be able to make the decision. So I think what the lawyers are asking for is for the Home Secretary to speed up the process rather than personally make the decision, which she cannot legally do.
Yeah, so just to confirm that she has no discretion over who gets this protection, but once the protection has been granted, it's her job to make sure it's delivered effectively.
Yes, or she can change policy around what is the threshold for the risk to entitle somebody to taxpayer-funded police protection. So that is within her power, but not the decision itself as to which. That's completely independent from the government. That's an independent Ravek Royal and VIP Executive Committee. Yeah.
Cameron, thank you. Very interesting. Well, we'll keep you updated if there's any change on that. Al, moving on now.
Yeah, the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has announced a crackdown on so-called cowboy builders, ripping off households using private bailiffs and intimidating tactics against people struggling with debt.
Well, these measures will help people to find trusted traders through a special register and to protect their money from unscrupulous operators.
So, that always happens when I'm with Miriam. Joining us now is GBNews chief political correspondent Catherine Forster. Catherine, rogue traders are already known for avoiding the system. Simply putting in place a new register, they're just going to avoid that as well.
Well, that's what the opposition parties say about this scheme. And in 2024, Brits lost £10.3 billion in home and garden maintenance projects that went wrong. Builders who did a shoddy job, didn't finish a job, disappeared off for ages, charged them a whole load of extra money. We all either have been there or know somebody who has. Now, we've got a new PM, Andy Burnham. He is saying today, we are putting the cowboys out of business. So they're launching this new government scheme where it's called an approved code, and builders can sign up to this, and it sets various standards that they have to adhere to. And then there's a system to protect people's money, which will make it that you only pay, you pay in stages for work to be done, and you pay when this milestone has been reached. Not currently you pay half up front or whatever. So this is designed to protect people. Apparently 1 in 3 people end up having extra costs put upon them. But what the opposition parties say is this is not the right approach. The Lib Dems have said it's half-baked. The Shadow Business Secretary, Andrew Griffiths, has said it's piling more paperwork on the majority of businesses who are already doing the right thing. They say that the government should be beefing up law enforcement and tougher sentences for the minority who rip customers off. Because, of course, what this does is the good guys will do things properly anyway. Sure, they might sign up to this scheme, but the rogue builders won't sign up to this scheme and they will continue doing what they are doing. I mean, my own advice personally is the best way to find somebody is personal recommendation. Somebody, whether it's a neighbour or you see a house and you've seen building work and you think it looks good, go and knock on the door and say, were you happy, blah, 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 blah. And to me, that's the only way, really, of getting. But, the government are confident about this. They're also cracking down on dodgy bailiffs. They are going to regulate private bailiffs in England and Wales. as well.
Catherine, I saw a really interesting study that Harvard University conducted where they proved that builders and mechanics and tradespeople quote higher prices to single women than they do to men because they assume that women don't have an idea of the cost or what's involved. And when women copy in a man, any man, into the emails and the correspondence, they actually charge less. That was a very interesting angle.
It's dreadful. It doesn't surprise me at all. Many years ago, I took my car to get, I think it was an MOT, and like £1,000 later, and I said, I'd like to get a second opinion. Oh, well, we've already taken it apart, blah, 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 blah. And then my late husband from then on was put in charge of always taking the car to the garage. And I just did suspect that it because I was a woman.
They assume you know nothing, and therefore they can charge what you want.
Yeah.
And the elderly too, you hear stories
yes,
of,
also true.
Terrible exploitation of vulnerable elderly people, yeah.
I think Catherine, thank you so much. I think, Sam, this is an issue that people will really care about. And, OK, it's not the headline news at the moment like small boat crossings or the gang warfare in Middlesbrough, but it is a day-to-day issue that affects people, that robs them of their money.
I mean, you're not just left with a dodgy kitchen or a half-hacked roof.
You can lose
your life
thousands.
savings can go.
Exactly.
And it's a real issue for people.
And I wonder if it will also cut down on traders who take cash only to avoid VAT. Because if it has to go through this kind of trading payment scheme, then it will be all recorded. Anyway, we'll see. No guarantee it'll work, but I think a lot of people want something to be done about this.
Yeah. Catherine, thank you very much. More from you later, no doubt. But up next, as Russia continues to make threats against Britain, is now the right time for John Healey, Defence Secretary, to consider scrapping his own defence spending target of 3% of GDP.
Well, we'll be going through that and more with our panellists, Jonathan Liss and Emma Trimble. They are raring to go, already in a heated debate there by the look of it. Save it for a few minutes, guys. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in, and stay ahead.
It's 22 minutes past 10. You're watching Britain's Newsroom with Sam and Miriam.
Yes, well, we're joined by writer and broadcaster Emma Trimble and journalist and political commentator Jonathan Liz in the studio. Morning to you both.
Morning.
Let's dive in, Jonathan, with the reports that Chancellor John Healey will be shelving, potentially, his own target of 3% of spending on GDP.
So I obviously wish Andy Burnham and John Healey the very best, and I'm not any kind of Starmerite, but on behalf of Starmer and Rachel Reeves, I sort of am doing a hollow laugh this morning, shall we say, because it's always the way that when you're at the Treasury, you are in charge of all of the strings of government and you have to be disciplined about where the money goes. And when you are the head of a singular department, that department is your priority, and you think this department needs the money for all these reasons, because my department's important. And of course, all the departments are important in their own way. There's no unimportant department of government. And the Treasury, for the last, sort of 60 or more years, has always asked for more money for all different kinds of offensive and defensive projects. And the Treasury sometimes says yes and sometimes say we just don't have the money for this. So I suppose it is a kind of a lesson, if you like, not necessarily a morality tale, but certainly an instructive lesson in government, that when you're in the Treasury and you are prepared to resign, quite literally, over budgets and how much money is going into your department to protect the realm, obviously incredibly important, and then you go to Treasury and suddenly you're in charge of all of the departments and all of the national budget, and you realise that actually maybe Starmer had a point when he was sort of putting the brakes on a bit, or Reeves had a point when she was putting the brakes on. You kind of just do feel a bit more sympathy and you learn a bit more about how governments work.
Emma, that is a fair point, isn't it? But it's also true that at this present moment, when we're hearing rumours that the CIA are trying to persuade Russia not to attack a NATO ally, and we don't know in Europe whether or not the Trump administration would uphold Article 5 of the NATO agreement. This is the moment, if ever there was one, to put more money into defence.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's funny if it would be funny if it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Wasn't not funny. I think, Jonathan makes a fair point. When you are the minister of a particular department, your job is to lobby for funding for that particular department. There is something slightly amusing about Healey having resigned out of principle because he thought it was so important, and he was right to do so, because he was right that, defence should be a national priority. And as you say, story after story suggesting that the situation globally is getting a lot more febrile, and this is something that needs to be our priority, and not something that now, as Healey is saying, can wait until they do another review and then we'll think about upping our spending on defence. So it is amusing, in a sense, to see Healey resign out of principle because this is so important, and now that he's in the Treasury, basically backing down and saying, actually, no, we're going to wait to increase defence spending. The reality is that Healey 1.0 was correct, and we just simply don't have the time to wait for that. We need to be doing this right now. I mean, we should have been doing it 5-10 years ago.
But there is still an ambition to obviously increase the defence budget, if not by 2030, then surely after that. And I think that, as we've discussed, before, there are different ways of spending on defence. There's not just spending more, there's also spending smart. There's how you're allocating those resources. I still think that Healey is taking defence seriously. I think he was a universally admired and respected Defence Secretary across the House. So the idea that he's not taking defence seriously, I think, not that you said that, but I don't think that would be correct. But obviously, we all know that we are living in extremely straitened circumstances, and the money can't just be magicked up unless you're going to increase taxes or increase borrowing.
See, the thing is, I actually quite like John Healey. I liked the fact that he resigned out of principle over this before. He is saying that he's going to focus on defence defence equipment, and I think Jonathan's right. You can spend better on defence. We have all sorts of issues with the way that we fund military hardware and the sorts of stuff that we choose to buy and so on. There are definitely improvements that can be made there so that we're spending our money more efficiently. But the reality is that he's in a position now of authority in the Treasury. he has the power to do the thing that he resigned over. He should be fighting now from within the Treasury to ensure that the government is behind him in wanting to make that decision to prioritise defence spending over other things. The reason why he can't is because this government is, for various political reasons, instead focusing on taxing people more in order to fund things like public sector pay rises, the previous government did, and also welfare spending. So those are political decisions. He should be lobbying from within the Treasury for this government to be prioritising defence spending and increasing the defence.
Well, he doesn't. The whole point is there's a chance he doesn't need to lobby. He's in charge of it. So if he wants to do this, he's
still got to convince his colleagues.
Well, I mean, the budget is written by him, not by the cabinet, and obviously Burnham has to approve it. But Burnham seems to have appointed him with the aim of not micromanaging. Burnham doesn't seem like a micromanager. So Healey does have a lot of leeway. So I kind of would respect...
But he knows that he would make his government extremely unpopular if he suddenly decided to have a budget where he is increasing defence spending against the desires of his colleagues and reducing welfare as a result of that, because there is a limited amount of money.
Yes.
And so he has to make a decision.
Of course there's
a limited amount of money, but it seems at this stage, with the current situation, as you pointed to, Miriam, it to me seems like a potentially quite easy sell to the public, certainly, because we're in a desperate state.
Not if you're massively increasing sort of certain taxes. Obviously, Burnham is still bound by the manifesto, so you can't increase income tax or national insurance or VAT.
And borrowing is now more expensive.
Which would have been easy taxes to increase.
Well, speaking of more efficient spending, should we briefly move on to another story about the cowboy builder crackdown that Andy Burnham's introduced?
Now, this is a really interesting story because it just shows Burnham's early tactics, because this is a guy who is not spending a lot of money in the first couple of months, but is making very easy announcements. And this is where Starmer, I wish that he had taken a leaf out of this guy's book, because Burnham is showing that you can do things that basically cost no money at all, that make people feel, yes, that's the problem I've experienced in my life, or that's the problem that other people in my life have experienced. Here is something really simple that the government can do to help me, i.e., how do I know that a builder is not going to destroy my house or rip me off? Let's have an approved list or a register where I can see a bit, like we all look at things, ratings and reviews when we're booking a hotel. So why wouldn't we have a similar register for something much more important, such as letting people into our own homes? And it's one of those things that you kind of think, how did this not exist before? But I'm really glad that Burnham understands politics, and he understands that it's about vibes, it's about substance, but it's also about feelings, it's about making people feel better and more secure. And I'm really, really happy that he is doing this thing which will demonstrably improve people's lives.
I have to say, I do agree with you, Jonathan. It's shocking. The hell is about to freeze over. I don't think this is a bad idea. I mean, having a compliance code for builders, so that you don't have all of these cowboy builders who are coming and, taking too much money from you, not doing the job properly. Apparently, citizens' advice, this is one of the top grievances that people have. I mean, it's not just about cowboy builders as well, it's about rogue bailiffs and ensuring that bailiffs have a certificate in order to operate, or that they work for an accredited
Extraordinary
firm.
That's not the case already, is it?
It seems like this is such low-hanging fruit.
Right.
There could be downsides of it, which we needn't go into, but generally speaking, I mean, this is something that I think the public will quite roundly go for, and it's not particularly political.
And, just again, Andy Burnham is someone who he's had luck so far, because he's come in at the start of summer. So he hasn't been sort of tested. Yes. He hasn't been able to do major policies, because obviously those need to be presented to Parliament. What he has been able to do is build up a kind of persona as your local councillor kind of thing, but in charge of the whole country.
It is interesting.
Who's there to make your life a little bit better where he can.
This is sort of a mayoral policy.
Yeah. Well, that ties together a lot of the things that he's announced so far to do with buses, homelessness. Now, these cowboy builders, these are the kind of concerns that would have been brought to him as mayor that he didn't have power to do anything about, because he knows that legislation has to start in Whitehall, and he's following it through. It's an interesting tactic, Sam.
It is. Absolutely. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Jonathan. Be back with you later next hour. But first, it's time for our new Great British giveaway. Be careful where you spend it. Check the builder register before you do. But it is the biggest one of the year so far. Your chance to win a brand new 4-berth motorhome, £75,000 that's worth, plus £35,000 in tax-free cash. Here are the details.
It's brand new and it's the big one. Your chance to win £110,000 in prizes. Our biggest giveaway of the year so far. First, we want you to drive away in this. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could win this brand new 4-berth motorhome. The McClue Fusion comes fully loaded with all of the home comforts you'd expect. Built-in modern kitchen, bathroom, fridge freezer, and it's worth £75,000. But that's just the beginning, as we'll also give you a whopping £35,000 in tax-free cash to spend, save, or just to use to enjoy adventures in your new motorhome. This incredible prize package is exclusive to GB News. You won't see it anywhere else, so make sure you don't miss out.
For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB23 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 23rd of October. We may call the winner live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, very best of luck. Let's take a look now at the other news coming into the newsroom this morning.
Well, new research claims that grooming gang offenders are connected to more than 100 convicted organised criminals across the country. Independent researchers say they have uncovered thousands of links between abusers, gangs, families and wider networks.
Also this morning, Donald Trump has signed an order renaming Lake Ontario as Lake America in the United States. That move comes amid an escalating trade war with Canada after Ottawa announced new tariffs on billions of pounds worth of American goods.
Elsewhere, hundreds of police officers are being sent to Middlesbrough amid fears of escalating gang-linked violence. This follows a series of suspected gang-related incidents since Saturday's fatal crash on the A66, in which 2 police officers and 5 young men were killed.
And in Nepal, the death toll from devastating floods this week has now risen to 489. 33 people from the UK are still missing, including, sadly, a 13-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy. Officials are warning there is still a significant risk of another major flood.
A former chemistry teacher has been found guilty of indecently assaulting 2 teenage pupils at an all-boys school in the 1980s. Sally Ann Bowen was convicted of 7 counts of indecent assault against the boys, who were around 14 and 15 at the time.
You're up to date. Plenty more still to come, including news today that Norway's King Harald has died at the age of 89.
Yes, and we'll bring you the touching tribute from Britain's King Charles. You're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another unsettled day, further heavy rain on the cards for much of the UK and the potential for further thunderstorms as well. Away from any of the rain though, it's going to feel quite warm still, particularly across more southern and eastern areas. We've got this area of low pressure out to the north and east, and we could see some quite intense rainfall close to that area of low pressure for northeastern areas of England. Elsewhere though, for England and Wales, there is a chance of some heavy, possibly thundery downpours, particularly across parts of South Wales and northern areas of southwestern England as well. This picture won't show you exactly what we're expecting, but just know there is a chance of some heavy downpours. Not everywhere we'll see them. It will be dry in places, particularly across far northern areas, but also across the southeast through much of the day after a pretty wet night last night for some areas, and still quite warm. Temperatures above 20 degrees to end the day before the sun goes down. As we head further north and west as well, it's a dry pitch for parts of Northern Ireland, northeastern areas of Scotland, northeastern England, though holding on to some of that rain. More in the way of cloud, and it is a little bit fresher for more northern areas. Now that fresher feel will become a little bit more dominant into the weekend, particularly as we head into Saturday morning for more northern areas as skies turn much clearer. Out to the south and west though, the next batch of rain is not far behind, and that will push into parts of southwest England, South Wales by Saturday morning. Ahead of that though, a pretty dry and bright start to the day and a little bit cooler than it has been for the past few days. Now that rain steadily moves north and eastwards through the day, bringing many areas a spell of wet weather through Saturday morning, particularly across parts of England and Wales. It does slow down a little bit as it pushes into Northern Ireland and Scotland, but it's likely to linger here into the afternoon and the evening. And behind that, for England and Wales, there will be some brighter weather, but also some risk of some further heavy downpours, and the winds will pick up as well. So a real mixed picture. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. The M25 clockwise has an obstruction between junctions 5 and 6 in Sevenoaks, and a collision clockwise between junctions 27 and 28 in Epping. The M56 is closed between junctions 2 and 3 in Sharston, and the M6 southbound is affected by a collision at junction 23 in Haydock. In Scotland, the A78 is closed in both directions between Dunlop Street and A8 Ratho Street in Edinburgh. And on the trains, Trans-Pennine Express and cross-country services are facing major disruption between Stalybridge and Huddersfield, and between Berwick-upon-Tweed and Newcastle. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. It's 22 minutes to 11. We're live on GB News with Sam and Miriam.
Well, breaking news this morning that Norway's King Harald has died, and it comes less than a day after the palace had confirmed his condition in hospital had become extremely serious.
Well, the 89-year-old had been in hospital for 11 days receiving treatment for a rare blood condition.
Flags are now flying at half-mast at Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, Windsor Castle and the Palace of Holyrood House to pay respect to the late King, and they will remain at half-mast until 8 o'clock tonight.
Well, His Majesty King Charles paid tribute to his cousin, saying, "It is with the most profound sadness that my wife and I have learned of the death of my dear cousin, King Harald V of Norway. For 35 years, King Harald served his people with unwavering dedication, guiding Norway through times of great change with warmth and humility."
The Queen and I extend our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to Queen Sonja and all her family as Britain shares in Norway's grief at this time of such heartbreaking loss.
Well, the royal historian Alexander Larman joins us now. Alexander, good morning. Thank you so much for joining Britain's Newsroom again. Now, the death of King Harald was anticipated, certainly in recent times. He was clearly very ill. But tell us, our viewers probably won't be very familiar with the life and times of King Harald. Tell us some of the things that he was known for in Norway.
Well, Miriam, it's important to remember that King Harald was an Anglophile. Not only was he King Charles's cousin, I mean, quite a distant cousin, but nonetheless there was a relation. But he also came to Oxford, to Balliol, to study social and political sciences there. So he is somebody who's very much in the tradition of the British royal family. And in fact, there's lots of interesting parallels between the Norwegian royal family and indeed our royal family, because he married he married somebody who was known as a commoner, who was the daughter of a successful businessman. And this was seen as hugely controversial back in the 60s. But obviously, it's important to remember that the Norwegian monarchy is a more informal monarchy than our one, and that this sense of it being somewhere that people can reach out to the king, and indeed the king can reach back, really came out in 2011 when there'd been that terrible terrorist attack by Anders Breivik, and in which 77 people were killed. And King Harald gave us a very moving, very emotive speech in which he reached out to his nation and he said, "I can understand your pain. I feel for each and every one of you." So I think that what you can see that he excelled at was making the Norwegian monarchy quite accessible, of being able to really connect with his people, and I think maintaining it, because there has also been some controversy in recent years, because his daughter-in-law, who will now presumably become queen, met married. She was in the Jeffrey Epstein files because she was one of the people who were associated with Epstein. So there has been a sense in Norway that now that this very popular monarch is dead, his son's a more uncertain figure and nobody quite knows what to expect. And if this sounds a bit like what happened over here in 2022, then I think that's just when you've had a long-serving popular monarch and they die, people are not quite sure what to expect afterwards.
Alexander, you touched on it there. I mean, for younger Norwegians, King Harald was the only monarch they really have ever known because of his enduring reign for so many years. How prepared is the country for the future reign of the next monarch?
Well, his son, King Haakon, I mean, there's a great uncertainty about what he'll be like, because there's also been difficulties in the royal family, which are nothing to do with the royals themselves. But, for instance, Haakon's stepson was recently convicted of rape just a couple of months ago. So there's been, and also with the Epstein connections of his wife, lots of people saying that she shouldn't become queen. So there is a controversy coming, which was largely avoided during this long reign of Harold. And I feel that now he's dead, Norway could be in a situation where people are asking questions about what the future of a monarchy really is. But obviously there is this great public warmth towards the late king, and there is going to be a sense of real mourning in Norway over coming days and weeks, because he did make such an impact, and he was somebody who went from being, as he was king, was quite reserved, cerebral figure, to very popular, very much of a people's king. So I think there's a lesson for King Charles there too.
Now, we know, Alex, that lots of the royal families in Europe are related to each other by blood. This is a prime example, King Harold being a cousin of King Charles. But how close are they relationally? Do they keep in touch? Are there warm relationships behind the scenes? Or is it much more formal based on the relationships between states and governments?
I think that there is a personal relationship, but I don't think that Charles is hanging around with European monarchs at Balmoral or Buckingham Palace. I think it's much more formal than that. But obviously what we're going to see is presumably the King and Queen will be at the funeral, which I presume will be held in the next few weeks. And obviously that will be one of the gatherings of the European monarchy, which we haven't seen really since the coronation. So whenever something like this happens, it really does bring the extended royal families of Europe back together. Because one thing that you have to remember is obviously many of the royal families have disappeared over the last century, but there are still some. And also there's the Nordic countries, but there's also Spain, there's also Holland, and of course there's us. So there are still these royal families within Europe who have these dynastic relationships, and obviously it'll be interesting to see how that proceeds, especially in Norway, over the coming years.
Alexander Larman, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, Sam, Harold V did have an interesting ancestor, Harold III, who was the last great Viking king, and he did actually invade Britain.
Is that right?
In 1066, when Edward I died. He wanted the crown. He was roundly defeated at Stamford Bridge, but then poor Harold Godwinson had to march all the way down to Hastings, and probably because he was so tired from the march, he lost to William the Conqueror. So we could be Norwegian right now.
Are you telling me that you knew all of that off the top of your head,
yes,
or you've just done a sneaky Google?
I had a Google to check if Harold Hardrada was Harold I, and he wasn't, he was Harold III. So there you go.
Well, that's very impressive.
Yeah. You're bored now, aren't you?
No, I'm just impressed. We don't need any historical guests. We just need you.
I do love
It's great. Fantastic.
Anyway, moving on.
Still ahead.
A little bit more contemporary.
Yes. Well, the search continues for 33 missing Brits, sadly, in Nepal, as there are now warnings of a second deadly flash flood that could soon strike. We'll have the latest on that from the region.
Well, you're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading away for the final weekend of summer, there is some drier and brighter weather on the cards for Spain and Italy. Very hot in the Mediterranean. Some quite intense thunderstorms, though, affecting parts of northern Italy in towards Slovenia and Croatia as well through Thursday and Friday and into the weekend. They will tend to fade away. You can see that very hot and sunny weather across the Mediterranean, and it's going to stay that way into next week as well, with temperatures in the mid-30s. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
The 19th century opera composer Richard Wagner has been accused of virulent anti-Semitism and of inspiring Adolf Hitler. What is the truth in those accusations? A new book painstakingly researches what Wagner wrote and said and what he didn't write and say.
I was really guided to the title of my book by an article by Dominic Lawson on the occasion of Wagner's 200th birthday. It argued that we should go on listening to Wagner, but the headline was Hitler's favourite composer was a monster. And various facts were alleged in support of this, that Wagner believed in the German master race, that his views influenced Hitler.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
What is rosé wine? How does it get that colour?
So the colour is from the red grapes. It's made with either white or red grapes, and it's left to macerate or steep, so you get a little bit of that red grape colour, but not so much that it's a red wine.
It's called the Pale Rosé by Sacha Lichine. Where does this come from?
This is from Provence. So this is the sort of sibling little sister of a very famous rosé, and so they're making the same thing, but I find it sort of lighter, easier to drink, more fruity, and I think I prefer it. So it's delicious, really.
Oh, that is deeply delicious. Very drinkable, isn't it?
It is.
You could go on all afternoon with that.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Royal Navy was the most powerful navy in the world at that time. That was really the bigger ships, the sort of capital ships they're called. When it came to small ships, we really weren't. And especially minesweepers, there was something like 30 sweepers to protect 20,000 miles of coastline. So Churchill, as First Lord of the Admiralty, realised quickly something needed to be done, and he mobilised what became known as the Royal Naval Patrol Service, rather a dry name. But he requisitioned 200 trawlers, deep-sea trawlers from Grimsby, Hull, all those big sort of fishing ports, and their crews. And they were fish holes were turned into mess decks. Fishing nets were removed, replaced by sweeping gear.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Very good morning to you. Just coming up to 10:50, Britain's Newsroom with Sam and Miriam.
Well, it's the last week of the summer holidays. School children everywhere dreading that first day back. And GB News' Northern Ireland reporter, Dougie Beattie, is touring Britain ahead of the bank holiday weekend. Well, Dougie, I think you're in Prestatyn in Wales, is that right?
I am indeed. I've got to love that jingle. It's so much better than the Benidorm one. That was, yeah, it was on the edge. Yes, I've been touring the UK. Holiday resorts, why not? Portrush, Blackpool, into Presthaven. And, of course, last night we had an absolute nightmare coming down the road with the weather. Thunder, lightning, torrential rain, a lot of water, surface water lying on the roads. We ended up stopping outside Birkenhead, and you could actually see the lightning strike right across the Mersey. It was fascinating to watch, but the drive-in, it was very, very hard indeed. And we have arrived in Presthaven, and of course last night, as we got closer to the sea, there was mist. You couldn't see 2 feet in front of you, so it took us quite a long while to get here. But why are the Brits coming to holiday parks? Why are they taking advantage of what was the good weather? And joining me now is Neil. Neil, you are the manager here in Presthaven. Have you seen an uptake this year?
Yes, Doug, it's been a really busy year. Last year was a great year. I think we welcomed about 147,000 guests last year. So far this year, about 120,000 guests. We'll surpass that number easily. We'll probably get to about 170,000.
And is it all about the weather, or is it financial?
The weather has helped, definitely. It's had its own setbacks as well, of course. But a great British summer just helps us, and staycations is just a place to go. People love caravans and love staying here.
I see a lot of them staying inside their caravans because of the weather. I mean, is that a thing of Britain? Do we actually enjoy bad weather as well?
It's a bank holiday weekend, isn't it? And it's going to rain, it's what we expect. They still come out, they still enjoy the park, they still enjoy the local area and all the local facilities as well. And our own facilities, of course. We've got great facilities at Presthaven. We're a big park, we've got lots of things to do, lots of things going on.
Yes, and tell us about some of the families that come here. I mean, they're all sorts of families that come, but I mean, what do they enjoy the most? What would be some of your most popular events here?
Presthaven's a big park. You know, we've got lots of activities, entertainments. We've got 4 swimming pools, and we've got different things going on every single day. You know, lots of places to eat, lots of things to do. People just love the Haven brand.
That's fantastic, and it is great to see you. I myself used to come along with my children to Haven holiday parks, although there is others available. And I was just saying to this man about my daughter had collected all the toys out of it, all the lanyards, etc., with all her badges on it. If she's watching now, she's 27 years of age. I hope she knows what she put me through. And really, it brings back great memories for me. It is great to share this with the rest of the people of the UK, of what the Brits do when they stay at home. But of course, the weather is the bad point, and I think this will probably be the end of our tour today, because really, most of the campsites and stuff on the way down the road and where we're heading next have faced some terrible, terrible weather, and whether they will be able to sort of soak that up if you're staying in a tent and go on is hard to think about. But we'll have a look later on this afternoon. But from Presthaven now, it's back to you.
Yugi, thank you very much. So good to just pop to the seaside with you for a little bit after a morning of heavy news, really.
I want to know if he has Go Faster stripes on his camper van.
Well, have we seen the camper van yet? I think you did. Did you? Have you briefly shown it, Doogie?
I think we need a through the keyhole tour.
We have, and it has a palm tree on the side of it.
Wow.
We showed it to Martin Dobney yesterday in Blackpool because he was saying, "Is it like your graphic?" No, it's not.
Go Faster palm tree.
An early 2000 camper van. Yeah, go. You see the palm tree, blue and white. Yeah, give us a wave on the way past.
Well, Doogie, we're going to have to leave it there, but maybe next time you can show us the vehicle. Well, coming up next, grooming gang offenders are connected to over 100 convicted organised criminals across the country. We'll have all the details on that exclusive GB News story.
Yes, stay with us. This is Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning show with Sam and Miriam on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another unsettled day, further heavy rain on the cards for much of the UK and the potential for further thunderstorms as well. Away from any of the rain though, it's going to feel quite warm still, particularly across more southern and eastern areas. We've got this area of low pressure out to the north and east, and we could see some quite intense rainfall close to that area of low pressure for northeastern areas of England. Elsewhere though, for England and Wales, there is a chance of some heavy, possibly thundery downpours, particularly across parts of South Wales and northern areas of southwestern England as well. This picture won't show you exactly what we're expecting, but just know there is a chance of some heavy downpours. Not everywhere we'll see them. It will be dry in places, particularly across far northern areas, but also across the southeast through much of the day after a pretty wet night last night for some areas, and still quite warm temperatures above 20 degrees to end the day before the sun goes down. As we head further north and west as well, it's a dry picture for parts of Northern Ireland, northeastern areas of Scotland, northeastern England, though holding on to some of that rain. More in the way of cloud, and it is a little bit fresher for more northern areas. Now that fresher feel will become a little bit more dominant into the weekend, particularly as we head into Saturday morning for more northern areas as skies turn much clearer. Out to the south and west though, the next batch of rain is not far behind, and that will push into parts of southwest England and South Wales by Saturday morning. Ahead of that though, a pretty dry and bright start to the day and a little bit cooler than it has been for the past few days. Now that rain steadily moves north and eastwards through the day, bringing many areas a spell of wet weather through Saturday morning, particularly across parts of England and Wales. It does slow down a little bit as it pushes into Northern Ireland and Scotland, but it's likely to linger here into the afternoon and the evening. And behind that for England and Wales, there will be some brighter weather, but also some risk of some further heavy downpours, and the winds will pick up as well. So a real mixed picture. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's brand new and it's the big one. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could win this brand new 4-berth motorhome. But that's just the beginning, as we'll also give you a whopping £35,000 in tax-free cash to spend, save, or just to use to enjoy adventures in your new motorhome.
For a chance to win, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB23 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 23rd of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Good morning, it's 11 o'clock on Friday the 28th of August. We are live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Sam Francis and Miriam Cates.
Gang war in Middlesbrough. More than 200 extra police officers have been sent to Teesside as a spate of serious violence grips the region.
Yes, 200 extra officers deployed to Middlesbrough after almost a week of violent incidents has left 9 people dead, including 2 police officers, amid what is fears of gang warfare here in Middlesbrough.
And some breaking news this morning. GB News understands that lawyers acting for Prince Harry have written to the Home Secretary asking her to review their security.
And more royal breaking news this morning. Flags are now flying at half-mast at Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, Windsor Castle and the Palace of Holyrood House after the King of Norway, King Harald V, has died at the age of 89.
And a rapist's crime network. Grooming gang offenders are connected to over 100 convicted organised criminals across the country.
The search continues today for 33 missing Brits in Nepal as fears are growing that the country could be hours away from a second deadly flash flood.
And the defence deficit. The Defence Secretary John Healey is set to scrap his own military spending target of 3% of GDP by 2030.
A cowboy builder blitz. The Prime Minister Andy Burnham says he's cracking down on rogue traders ripping off households.
Elsewhere, villagers fight back. People in the Oxfordshire village of Piddington release a protest song called Battle for Britain as the village prepares for a referendum against migrant accommodation. Take a listen to this.
It's the battle for Britain.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Sam Francis and Miriam Cates.
Yes, loads to get through the rest of this hour. First, though, new research today has revealed that grooming gang offenders are connected to over 100 convicted organised criminals across the country.
Well, independent researchers have uncovered well over 4,000 connections between grooming gang abusers, gangs, families, notable individuals, including politicians, and state employees and businesses.
So, to dig into this latest release of information is GB News national reporter Charlie Peters. Charlie, good morning to you. Just bring us up to date then on what we know and what this report has revealed.
Well, Sam, Miriam, this is an extraordinary piece of research. The network map putting in that visual aid a very clear example of what GB News has been talking about for many years now. The connection, the very clear connection between grooming gang abusers and organised criminals, in particular those involved in the drugs trade. Several drugs barons have now been directly linked to grooming gang offenders in this national mapping exercise. The research, the first of its kind, has uncovered 99 gangs involving 68 families. And I think that is an absolutely critical number, because what we're looking at here isn't just a mapping network of organised criminality, but also high trust networks connected by family, by clannishness, and also by culture. And what you're looking at right now on your screens is the map of the Northwest, all those connections between perpetrators in Manchester, in Leeds and Bradford, and also in the bottom right of the screen there on the edge there, Sheffield and Rotherham. Absolutely vast numbers of connections, trafficking routes, direct relations between offenders, families and gangs. Now, GB News revealed earlier this year that a grooming gang offender convicted alongside two of his brothers had wider links to criminality. That was Ammar Ilyas, who was nicknamed Killer, and he was later stabbed in the head, in fact, by an organised criminal who was later convicted of drug offences. Ammar Ilyas is on your screens now. Well, detectives in South Yorkshire reviewed that stabbing in relation to a separate shooting in Sheffield. We also revealed that Ammar Ilyas had been a Labour candidate for local elections. This is just one example of several of family gang networks being linked to broader criminality. The network map has also, as you can see on the wider image, revealed some 87 instances of victims being trafficked or perpetrators moving across the country to carry out abuse. And that's got 52 proven routes that the abusers have used to move themselves or indeed their victims. And that's absolutely critical, Sam and Miriam. How do you generate those nationwide connections? You do it through organised criminality, and you do it through clannishness. There will be more to come on the clannishness through our own work at GB News, and more findings will be coming on that front. But what the network map has done here in this comprehensive research has demonstrated many of those widespread criminal and family links. Now, it's being published as the independent national inquiry into grooming gangs prepares to start investigating its first three areas, which will include London, Bradford and Keighley, and Oldham. Now, we know that in Scotland, for example, the Scottish Government has launched its own inquiry as well on top of the national inquiry in England and Wales. That's come after GB News revealed grooming gang activity in Glasgow. Further revelations have emerged in Scotland as well. And what that map shows is that these are not isolated areas, as we've been talking about for years. These are deeply sophisticated, interconnected criminal networks linked all the way from Plymouth to Dundee and beyond. So Oldham, London, Bradford and Cleathley, they'll be the first 3 areas to be investigated. But as the network map has indicated, and as lots of the data now accessible online shows, this is widespread, this is interconnected, and it shows a very dark nexus between organised criminality, grooming gang abuse, and wider offending. If I could just give you one more example of family links and this sort of offending. Let's talk about the experience of the very brave campaigning Bradford survivor, Fiona Goddard. Now, one of her abusers jailed in 2019, Parvez Ahmed, a known drug dealer with convictions for heroin and crack cocaine supply. We heard during the court transcripts in his case released through the Open Justice campaign group that Parvez Ahmed is the brother-in-law of a drugs baron called Khalid Malik, and also the uncle of Fahim Iqbal, another abuser who was recently jailed for a machete attack. So in that one family there, you have drug abuse and serious control of hundreds of kilos of heroin. You have grooming gang organised activity, and you have men being attacked with machetes, all just in one family. This is pointing to a wider level of sophistication than perhaps has previously been acknowledged around the country. And perhaps the National Inquiry into Grooming Gangs will be grappling with this as well.
Well, Charlie Peters, thank you so much for that update. And this is an extraordinary piece of work, Sam, tying together all these different networks. I think when the stories about the grooming gang first emerged, lots of people assumed that this was just about sexual abuse, horrific as it was. But it seems to be even more dreadful than that and seriously organised.
Yeah, the scale is stark. I mean, we saw the map there that Charlie showed us. It is dotted with markers on that map. And, I mean, victims have already saying they've been failed by police, by councils, but now it appears from this research that they've failed to join the dots as well, which is very scary.
Yeah, and it seems that Britain may have a serious problem with organised crime networks, and our next story revolves around that too, because more than 200 police officers from across the country have been drafted into Middlesbrough as fears grow of gang violence erupting in the town.
Yeah, since Saturday's crash on the A66, a fatal crash that killed 2 police officers and 5 young men, a series of suspected gang-related incidents have been taking place there. Our national reporter Will Godley is in Middlesbrough for us this morning. Will, residents in Middlesbrough waking up this morning with a range of feelings, no doubt. Fear, concern, anger. What are you hearing?
Yeah, all of that. Good morning, both of you. As you say, 200 extra police officers deployed here in Middlesbrough after nearly a week of violent incidents. That's left 9 people dead, including 2 police officers. Their floral tributes still here behind me outside Cleveland Police headquarters in Middlesbrough. And let's just remind ourselves of those incidents, because they started almost a week ago in the early hours of Saturday morning when a car, a Volkswagen, was travelling the wrong way down the A66, a dual carriageway here with 5 young boys, young men inside. Now that car crashed into a police car, killing all 5 boys and those 2 police officers. And since then, a number of other violent incidents, including a house fire which killed a 7-year-old girl and her aunt, and also another house was rammed in the area, and also a stabbing yesterday. Now, those 3 incidents, police have not confirmed yet whether they are linked to the initial crash on the A66. That's something police are investigating. And just this morning, Cleveland police have given an update on a different incident, but just paints a picture of the level of criminality in Middlesbrough. They said armed response officers last night were called to an incident in the area following reports of an altercation involving a weapon. They have confirmed, though, it isn't linked to those other incidents and wider criminality in the area, but yet paints a wider picture of the level of criminality in Middlesbrough. Of course, has the highest crime rate anywhere in England other than central London, and many residents in the area left feeling worried. This is the reaction of some this morning.
Absolutely insane here at the minute. It's just full of people wanting to kill each other, which is just absolutely crazy.
Is it going to make a difference? I don't know, because they don't seem to have any fear of the police. It's just sad, innocent children losing their lives. It's a heartbreaking thing. I think bringing the army, if I'm being honest with you.
You would like to see the army deployed?
Definitely,
How
yeah.
come?
I just think to give everybody that extra reassurance.
I agree with it. I think it's a good idea. Borough's not safe anymore.
How do you feel as someone who lives here?
Unsafe. Quite unsafe. Like, I'm moving because I'm going to uni, but I'm moving because I just don't feel safe around here. I hate walking home from work on a night.
I think it's pretty safe. I mean, yeah, maybe things happen, but I don't know.
You're not too worried?
No, I'm not worried at all.
Well, many here welcoming the news that Middlesbrough is having 200 extra police officers from forces across the country, as far down south as South Yorkshire and all the way up to Northumbria as well. Also, they're having specialist officers from the National Crime Agency as well here, all to help with the investigations involving alleged organised criminality in the area, and of course fears from the locals that there are gangs operating in Middlesbrough. Well, those extra police officers in force, but as one lady said there, she wants more. She wants the army in place, and someone else who wants more is the leader of the council here, Alec Brown, who has written to Andy Burnham calling for more support for the police force here. Andy Burnham, though, said his government is offering all the support that the authorities need. But as the police forces are continuing their investigations, last night a vigil was held for one of the 5 young men that was involved in that car crash on the A66 in the early hours of Saturday morning. One of the 5 in that VW Passat, Michael Cahill. Now, this vigil was being held in Haswell in County Durham, and videos posted online appear to show cars skidding around in a field before then being set on fire. And this morning, remnants of fireworks and also smoke bombs and torched cars remain. Those cars have been removed, but scorch marks in the field, and a bumper reportedly remains there, along with balloons as well. So residents waking up to footage of that as well, perhaps confusing that that kind of activity took place at a visual to remember someone who has died. But more broadly, residents I've been speaking to here worried about this level of criminality in Middlesbrough. In fact, one taxi driver I spoke to last night said he's now finishing work at 10 p.m, won't work after dark, and will refuse rides to certain postcodes in Middlesbrough because he feels there are no-go areas. Well, that's something the former mayor of Middlesbrough disputed to me a little bit earlier on today on your programme, said he doesn't feel there are any no-go areas in Middlesbrough, but that there is certainly high levels of criminality. But he felt it was no different to other towns in the north as well. But clearly the need for extra police officers in Middlesbrough, not only to assist with investigations here, but also to help reassure locals, many worried about reported gang violence and links to gang warfare in the area.
Will, thank you very much. Will Godley there for us in Middlesbrough. We'll be back with you, keeping tabs on the situation throughout the rest of the day. Situations like this, of course, do fuel speculation online, but it is worth noting police at this stage not confirming any of these incidents are linked, but we'll wait to hear from authorities up in Middlesbrough.
And there's a serious intelligence operation going on here as well, and the police can't reveal their hand at this point for fear of warning criminals who might be wishing to evade capture. Well, we've got to wish all the police the best of luck with this, especially for the sake of the residents who, by the sound of it, are living in a lot of fear.
Up next, though, the Royal Navy have warned that Britain and its allies perhaps not ready to tackle Russia's undersea capabilities.
Well, we'll be going through that and more with Emma Trimble and Jonathan Liss, who were getting on remarkably well in the last hour. Let's see if we can find something for them to fight about. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It is nearly 20 past 11. You're watching Britain's Newsroom with Sam and Miriam. I'm enjoying your first... Oh, no, I'm enjoying your first presenting outfit, but had you spilt coffee
that was very close.
I might have changed my mind.
Yeah, you would have kicked me out the studio.
Absolutely.
I've only done that once on air before.
What, being kicked out the studio?
No, it was a glass of water, and I don't know what I was doing. One of those newsreader poses and knocked the glass flying.
Oh, well, we'll make it onto the outtakes, don't you worry.
Probably.
I think we did make it onto the outtakes a couple of weeks ago.
Did we?
Yeah, so I think we were having some little arguments between newsreading and
a bit of a back
presenting.
and forth. I think I was trying to get you to read the finance.
That's right. And
because you struggle with numbers, right? As an ex-maths teacher, was it?
Science, but close enough. It was the way you wrote them on the R2Q. It's completely
I just
unintelligible.
threw you under the bus.
I'm sorry, we do have two guests.
Anyway, we are joined by writer and broadcaster Emma Trimble. Save us from my cup fiasco. I'll put it over there for safekeeping. Should we start, Emma, with this warning that's emerged from Russia this week that the UK could be heading for catastrophic events because we're struggling to contain their undersea capabilities?
Yeah, we mentioned in the previous segment the fact that John Healey is not going to up the spending on defence. And I think this is yet another warning that that is the wrong decision. So General Sir Gwyn Jenkins, who is the first Sea Lord, has been on a podcast that is run by the think tank, the Council on Geostrategy. And he has warned that Russia's capabilities, subsea capabilities, things like submarines, autonomous drones and so on, are advanced. They're monitoring our undersea cables. They have the capability to cut those cables. And because we are an island nation, we are particularly vulnerable to that. Britannia basically needs to rule the waves for our own defence. Our navy has become seriously depleted, and Jenkins is warning that we need to be prepared to defend ourselves against these advancements that Russia is making, because this is leaving us extremely vulnerable. And in this podcast, he said, I think maybe I can read the quote out. He said that a number of possible scenarios in the future, there are a number of possible scenarios in the future that could lead to catastrophic events with no certainty that we can avoid them. So, this is a really serious situation, and it requires us to be spending more on defence, and particularly spending more on our naval defence to try and stop Russia from making these seriously aggressive moves that it's already started making.
What I would say is it's incumbent upon us to prioritise our defence and to be strategic in how we spend the money that we have. As we always say, more doesn't necessarily mean better. Obviously, more is important as well. But this is also why Europe has to take its defence much more seriously as Europe, because we now know that, and we have known for a very long time, if we've been honest about it, that we have an administration in Washington that does not care about our defence for its own sake, that ties it explicitly to a transaction, that explicitly says, and we really do have to believe people when they tell us who they are, that a country that tells us that we've been freeloading from them, and that we've been taking more than we've been giving, and completely ignoring the history of NATO and why NATO's always been good for America.
Yeah, you say
I'm talking about America.
No, I completely understand. But what I was going to ask you is, do you think there is a difference between the Trump administration and the American institution, if you like? So could it be that the CIA, for example, is still very concerned about Europe's defence? We saw John Ratcliffe, the head of the CIA, do this secret, not secret visit to Moscow, presumably to warn Russia against breaching triggering Article 5 of NATO. Could it be that the institution of the US is still very much committed to Europe, but the Trump administration isn't?
Miriam, I would love to believe that the Trump administration could just leave and suddenly America's institutions just revert to status quo ante, that they have not been blighted by the stain of this poisonous administration. But that is not how the administration has been running. The administration has bled into America's institutions. It has been completely unstopped and unchecked by Congress, which has the power to check it. That is literally the purpose of Congress. So we have a Trump who basically is ruling like a Tudor king, and Congress which is allowing him to do so. So installing all of his lackeys into the main seats of government, even the independent ones. We now, the head of the FBI, so the Attorney General, have now become explicitly political in a way they haven't been before. And I do worry about what might happen, for example, if China decides to invade Taiwan. Partly also because Trump has literally thrown away so much of America's military capabilities on Iran and exposed America's weakness because America has not been able to defeat Iran, and which should have been a complete walkover.
When you say Trump is leaking into institutions, or Trump's administration is leaking institutions, he's also leaking into lakes. He's just made a move.
Right, and so just another... I mean, people have been saying this is the sort of thing that a child would do if they were allowed to be president for a day. And I find it just hard to believe that people who defend Trump can stand up and say, yes, this is a good thing. So basically, because Trump has picked a trade war, which is completely mad, with one of his largest trade partners, Canada, for no reason whatsoever. Remember, back in the old days, it was about fentanyl, and then that was kind of abandoned. And obviously, it turned out that Canada wasn't supplying any of the fentanyl, almost any of the fentanyl, that has arrived into America's drug marketplace. But now there's a trade war, and he's decided to rename Lake Ontario Lake America, which is obviously childish and pathetic and entirely in character.
I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. You say, it's the sort of thing that a child would do. But this administration...
It's like writing your name on the back of someone else's toy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this administration has form in the meme department. A part of my family lives in Ontario. I have a lot of sympathy with the Canadian side. I just think it's quite a funny gesture, isn't it?
I really am surprised by this, because this is not how grown-up politics is. It's not how you win friends. It's not how you conduct diplomacy. It is the most childish, narcissistic thing imaginable. And I really can't understand how someone who I respect, such as yourself, who is serious, can think that such a totally puerile act that you'd expect from an 8-year-old, non-80-year-old, could remotely be acceptable in modern politics. It's not a game. Being a president is not a game. It's not a meme.
But I
it's
think
not a
you're
joke.
taking this a little too seriously.
No, I'm not taking it seriously. This is a real thing that he has decided to do when actually Americans are suffering.
Trade war is a
trade war is a real thing, and this is also
renaming the lake.
This is totally absurd. It just rubs people's backs up.
I think we've exhausted this particular point of clash, as they say in debating. But Emma, serious or not serious, Trump does politics differently, and his mantra of peace through strength, he's basically trying to project an image of strength. But do you think the lack of success, I suppose, in the Iran war, the backing down over various trade disagreements with China, for example, do you think he's actually living up to his reputation as a strong man, or is he the one who chickens out?
Yeah, I think the Iran war has not gone to plan, should we say, to put it lightly. But I think this goes back to the point that Jonathan was making when you were saying, the way that this administration is treating us as an ally is transactional. But the reality is that being an ally is transactional. Trump, I think, whether he's made mistakes or not on certain particular issues, he understands the change in the geopolitical climate and the way that politics internationally operates. And I think we need to wake up and recognise that, and this is one of the reasons why I think actually the administration are not wrong for encouraging Britain and the West to be stronger as individual countries and stronger as a continent, because it's important for your allies not to be dependent, not to be weak, and actually to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, because that makes you into a better ally. And I think Trump recognises the way that geopolitics is being done now by Russia, by China, and also the way that geopolitics is going to be done going into the future as the global situation changes. And I think even if you think that Trump has made certain mistakes, I think the maverick way that he is playing politics is representative of the era that we now live in.
Well, first of all, America has always treated NATO transactionally. America has benefited billions and billions of dollars from investing in
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
So it's not true that it's just transactions the first time.
Like these agreements between states are contracts. They're not romantic relationships.
No, but relationships, it's a really interesting point, because actually when we think about a relationship, we don't think of relationships as being transactional. They can be transactional, friendships that are transactional, but they are also based on our own interests as people, as units, as communities, about making things better, about principles and shared values. It's not about transaction in a naked sense, about you give me this, I'll give you that. It's also, I believe in this thing for its own sake. I believe in security, I believe in democracy. It can be transactional, but it doesn't have to be.
The relationships between parents and children and between husbands and wives are unconditional and not transactional.
I didn't say unconditional.
But relationships, well, they're not transactional. They are a certain type of relationships.
Well, before we get into relationship counselling, I mean, this could be a whole nother episode.
I'm saying this because I don't think they're transactional per se.
Relationships between nations are transactional.
No, they're based on interest, but they're not necessarily... It's not necessarily quid pro quo all the time, because we can still be friends with people who annoy us. That is the point of an alliance.
Yes, we can, Jonathan. That's why we're friends.
Point. Well, let's leave it there. Thank you both so much for your contribution this morning.
Yes, thank you very much. Time for a break. Let's go.
Well, there is something on the auto cue, but the problem is you are in control of the auto cue, and I think I'm going to agree with this. We were just talking about outtakes and mishaps a few moments ago, Sam, and I think you did incredibly well getting through this while reading the news yesterday.
What is this?
I don't know.
Those are the latest headlines. For now, I'll hand you back.
That's
so unfair.
That was not your greatest comic.
Uncalled for. No, that was quite a light one, to be fair.
I can think of way more funny things.
Anyway, moving on. Time for the Great British Giveaway. Anyway, here's the details.
I didn't see what you were wearing, to be fair. Well, the Great British Giveaway is upon us again. Your chance to win a camper van worth £75,000. It's not Doogie's, don't worry. Plus £35,000 in tax-free cash. Here are all the details you need.
It's brand new and it's the big one. Your chance to win £110,000 in prizes. Our biggest giveaway of the year so far. First, we want you to drive away in this. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could win this brand new 4-berth motorhome. The McClue Fusion comes fully loaded with all of the home comforts you'd expect. Built-in modern kitchen, bathroom, fridge freezer, and it's worth £75,000. But that's just the beginning, as we'll also give you a whopping £35,000 in tax-free cash to spend, save, or just to use to enjoy adventures in your new motorhome. This incredible prize package is exclusive to GB News. You won't see it anywhere else, so make sure you don't miss out.
For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB23 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 23rd of October. We may call the winner live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, very best of luck. Let's just take a look at 11:30 at the other news coming into the newsroom this morning.
Well, new research claims that grooming gang offenders are connected to more than 100 convicted organised criminals across the country. Independent researchers say they have uncovered thousands of links between abusers, gangs, families and wider networks.
Donald Trump has signed an order renaming Lake Ontario as Lake America in the US. The move comes amid an escalating trade war with Canada after Ottawa announced new tariffs on billions of pounds worth of American goods.
And hundreds of police officers are being sent to Middlesbrough amid fears of escalating gang-linked violence. This follows a series of suspected gang-related incidents since Saturday's fatal crash on the A66, which killed 2 police officers and 5 young men.
And the death toll from the devastating floods in Nepal has risen to 489. 33 people from the UK are still missing, including a 13-year-old girl and 14-year-old boy. Officials are warning there's still a significant risk of another second major flood.
And a former chemistry teacher has been found guilty of indecently assaulting 2 teenage pupils at an all-boys school in the 1980s. Sally Ann Byrne was convicted of 7 counts of indecent assault against the boys, who were around 14 and 15 at the time.
See, it's all right. I've got through that one without a cough.
Okay,
yeah.
I can...
Improving. Hour by hour, day by day. I'll get there in the end. Anyway,
anyone would think you weren't a professional.
A play centre in Ipswich was forced to close on advice of police after a group of travellers set up an encampment nearby. We'll be speaking to one of the affected businesses next.
You're watching Britain's Newsroom, only on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Further heavy showers and potentially some thunderstorms through today for many central areas. To the northwest, though, it should remain largely dry. It's going to be a bit of a breezy afternoon, though, across more eastern areas of the UK. That's as that area of low pressure moves up to the north and east. So much of the heaviest rain from this morning will push offshore away from eastern areas. But this afternoon, we'll see the heaviest showers across parts of Wales at first, northern England. Then that will likely extend into more central and eastern areas of England. We could see thunderstorms up to around 40 millimetres of rain falling if you see a couple of showers falling through the afternoon. The northwest, though, faring the driest. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of sunshine. It won't feel too bad in the sunshine. A bit of a cooler day than yesterday, though, with a bit more cloud around across more eastern areas and in the northeast as well. The rain is going to linger across more eastern areas of Scotland through much of the day. Northwestern areas, so the Highlands and Islands having a fine end to the working week. The showers will likely continue into this evening across central and eastern areas. Not everywhere is going to see these thundery downpours, but where you do see them, there is a chance of some flooding, as well as some quite big hail and lightning. There will be some respite from the rain overnight if you do see any of those showers before the next batch arrives through the early hours of Saturday morning. So a relatively dry and clear night to come for many northern and eastern areas of the UK. It will turn a bit cloudier and quite a bit wetter, though, across the south and west. The winds will really start to pick up across more southwestern areas through Saturday morning, which may cause some disruption for anyone out camping or at any outdoor events through Saturday morning across the south coast. That rain pushes further northwards through the day into parts of northern England, much of Wales, skirting into Northern Ireland as well. It should remain dry, though, for the very far north for the bulk of the day. Bye-bye.
Your views. Just to be clear, my viewers are frustrated. Your voice. Lots of you guys getting in touch. Your perspective. Before these two start fisticuffs. Your issues. What is the official party line? Your concerns. Do you agree with that? Your show. Are you keeping up? Good. I'm so excited to be back this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Jubes & Co. Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Sam and Miriam. It's 23 minutes to 12.
Yes, and at noon, good afternoon, Britain, with Mark and we think Nana. She'll be here any minute now, but you're one-man banding for now.
Nana's a superstar. She makes a grand entrance.
She can take all the time she
is
needs.
Ready. Anyway, we've got a corker of a show for you. We'll be looking at the ongoing violence in Middlesbrough, examining what triggered this, what could have been done. Has the police force been failing in its duty to try and keep the people of Middlesbrough safe over recent months and years because of the levels of gang violence? And we've got Will Godley, and we'll have a number of guests on that as well. And then we're going to be looking at the extraordinary story of a Defence Secretary, John Healey, as was, who resigned on a point of principle that the Labour government was just not doing enough to boost our defence and keep us safe at a time of heightened hostilities right around the world. Has now, it seems, backtracked from that commitment to get to 3% of our GDP, gross domestic product, by 2030. And that has all kinds of ramifications, potentially, for where we go. The immediate priority, we're told, is to try and fund the £5 million black hole. But it still means that, you know, that 3% commitment would have been an extra £10 billion a year of spending to defence that just isn't going to be there. So how are we ever going to get to, for instance, 3.5%, which is supposedly our commitment by 2035?
And Mark, these are not hypothetical questions at the moment. We know that Russia is considering, well, of course, continuing the war in Ukraine, but perhaps attacking NATO countries. We know that it's increasing its activity in the seas around Britain. This is the worst time possible to be cutting back, or at least not increasing defence spending.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, you know, some new frigates that are coming through, won't be through for a long time. And so you've got a decrepit and increasingly obsolete fleet of frigates, down to about 5 now that are workable, and quite a few of them are still in maintenance. Destroyers, the Type 45 destroyers that we heard so much about, that couldn't be sent in a timely manner to help guard RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus. We're down to like a couple of them that are operational and at sea at the moment as well. So we're in a very difficult situation. There's no doubt our submarine, our attack submarine force, until very recently, and it might still be the case, not a single one of our 6 attack submarines was at sea. The only thing that we do have guaranteed at sea is the 24-hour nuclear deterrent, one of these Vanguard-class nuclear deterrent submarines. We've got 4 of them. But they are increasingly ageing and obsolete as well and are to be replaced. So we need lots more money for defence, and it ain't coming in a very significant fashion anytime soon.
It ain't coming. That's the story. Mark, Nana, you'll be up at midday. Good afternoon.
Manana, we call it.
Mark and your Nana.
Yeah.
Manana.
Manana.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about your most famous blooper, because we've just had the privilege of seeing mine, but we'll save that for another time.
Oh, I've seen one.
You can film me in the break.
In some corners of the internet. Well, moving on now on Britain's Newsroom. Businesses in Ipswich were forced to close this week. Actually, it was Martlesham, but it's close to Ipswich, after police advised that the presence of travellers in the area had made it unsafe.
Yeah, the travellers who had set up base near a Tesco Extra caused disruption at several businesses in the area before police took action and asked them to leave.
Well, we're now joined by the director of Play Today Nursery, Ian Parkinson. Ian, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can you tell us what happened to your business and why you've been forced to close?
Right, well, on the night before we closed, which was the Thursday, I think, thinking back, we... no, it's the night before. Anyway, we realised at the time that there were vans appearing, and we were hearing stories of troubles in some of the retail units, the larger retail units around the estate. We ended up with a series of mobile homes camped throughout the estate. It's very much a mixed-use estate with retail, leisure, all sort of mixed up together, food takeaway sites. And there was an awful lot of trouble the night before that the police had to deal with. Now, bear in mind that we are a play centre, but we're also a children's day nursery. We were faced with a difficult decision of what we were going to do the next morning, bearing in mind that these mobile homes were parked all over the car parks, and our customers were going to have to turn up and see. So turn up, put up with whatever might happen. And so we decided that the best way was to close. The police said it was a good way. They were likely to leave sooner if they weren't antagonised. And so that's what we did. We closed for the day. So everybody that had childcare booked in the nursery couldn't go to work because they had their children, and everybody that was booked to come to the play centre was informed and their bookings were cancelled and refunded.
Ian, where would you lay the blame? Is this the travellers? Is this an issue with police, the council, policy across the country more broadly? Where does it sit for you?
It's policy across the country. It'd be terribly unreasonable. The police did a very good job with very, very limited resources. So they calmed the situation down. All the violence stopped. There was violence the night before. They calmed the situation down so that it was calm. So in the morning it was settled, but they didn't leave straight away. They sort of left in a dribble from 12 o'clock onwards. It's the policies that are towards them, treating people differently, are the real problem.
Yeah.
No. Why are they being treated differently? If I did that, if I had a mobile home and I went and parked up somewhere, there'd be a tap on the window. Excuse me, you can't stay here. And if I didn't move, I'd probably get fined. Now, these people apparently have been in Lowestoft for quite a long period of time, causing absolute chaos in a pay car park. I'm assuming they have a massive parking fine because you'd get one, I'd get one, any of us would get them. It's not to do with, it's just behaviour and being part of the society, that they want to exclude themselves from society, but they want to be part of it as well. They want to have all of the advantages and none of the disadvantages that we have to put up with.
It's a really interesting point, Ian, because illegal traveller encampments have doubled in recent years, and one wonders if that's just because there is no enforcement. They break the law, but nothing is done about it. What would you like to see done in future? Do you think the law needs to be changed? Do you think the police just need to be more active in this area? How can we protect businesses like yours going forward?
Certainly, we need a special police group to deal with this. It needs a team that actually deal with this full time. You can't expect. The police did a fantastic job with very, very limited resources, but we still ended up closed. They need to be chasing these people. If they want to know how to do it, they had exactly the same problem in Southern Ireland a few years back. They dealt with it. But this needs the backing of the courts, the judges. It needs the backing of everybody. It's not just the laws that need changing. The police can do so much, but they can't solve a problem if they don't have the backing of the full legal establishment.
Indeed. Ian Parkinson, thank you so much. And I should also say that I live in the area, and when my children were smaller, we did have plenty of happy times at the Play Today Centre, and I recognise it from on screen. I might have been down a few of those slides. So thank you so much for coming on, and really all the best with hopefully bringing your business back.
Thank you.
Well, it's a fascinating story, and it just shows how ordinary business people are at the mercy, really, of where travellers choose to turn up. And interestingly, Angela Rayner, the local government secretary, has in recent weeks suggested making it actually easier for travellers to set up camps. Some changes in the opposite direction, but making it harder to clamp down on these illegal sites.
And not an easy decision to close your business. No. It's going to have a serious cost, but encouraging to hear that the police response, as Ian said, was positive, but they just need more support and more resource.
Absolutely. Well, plenty more to come on Britain's Newsroom. Up next, drivers are being told to expect a frantic Friday as the summer bank holiday getaway is expected to be the busiest on the roads in more than a decade.
But first, Miriam's off to have a whiz down a slide, and if you're in search of some holiday sun while she does it, here's the forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then? All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
If you're heading away for the final weekend of summer, there is some drier and brighter weather on the cards for Spain and Italy. Very hot in the Mediterranean. Some quite intense thunderstorms, though, affecting parts of northern Italy in towards Slovenia and Croatia as well through Thursday and Friday and into the weekend. They will tend to fade away. You can see that very hot and sunny weather across the Mediterranean, and it's going to stay that way into next week as well, with temperatures in the mid-30s. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
In the public sector, buildings like schools and hospitals lack adornment, can be very clunky, can be very ugly, and they don't bear comparison with their equivalents, let's say, from the Victorian age. What do you think of that thesis?
I think, unfortunately, it's entirely correct. I mean, we can see it in some of the examples you talked about today. The one that really sticks in my mind, really there's two. Ones you see kind of every day, or certainly used to, post boxes and phone boxes, and in fact, for a third, water fountains. If you see the new water fountains in London, they're these strange plastic water droplets. We didn't used to build things like this. In fact, the water fountains themselves were once ornate. You had creatures in them, you had actual care taken over them.
GB News, the People's Channel. Nana Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
Now, you don't want to miss this guest because she was once Britain's longest-serving female prisoner, dubbed the Black Widow. But Linda Galvey has since swapped life behind bars for life as a best-selling crime writer. My goodness. So you've done...
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about, because some people might not know about you, but you were dubbed as the Black Widow. Why is that?
I was dubbed as the Black Widow. The police said because all of the men in my life either ended up dead or in prison.
I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny.
No, it isn't. But that is me. And since I've been home, I mean, I went to prison for a crime I did commit. I got 7 years, and I deserved that sentence.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We have to go back to 1964, when Congress decided to name Washington's National Cultural Center in honor of John F. Kennedy, the president, of course, who had been recently assassinated. As a result, his name was emblazoned on the building. Today, the centre is home to a vast concert hall, as well as an opera house and a theatre. This is the site of cultural events, televised events, gala dinners. The centre is seen as a bastion of liberalism here in Washington, D.C. So what happened when Donald Trump became president for a second time in 2025? Well, in February, his second month in office, he decided to sack many members of the board of the centre behind me and replace it with his allies.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. Fast approaching midday. We're just going to bring you a piece of breaking news coming into us in the newsroom this hour, that a small boat migrant has reportedly been taken to hospital after dozens of illegal immigrants are crossing the channel for now a second day. We do have footage which we'll bring you as soon as we can of that incident just off the coast of Dover at the lifeboat station there. It's unclear at this stage of the nature of the injury suffered by the female migrant. That brings, in the last 24 hours alone, the total crossings to 615 migrants and dozens more crossing today. That despite the poor weather conditions in the channel. So we'll bring you more on that as we get it later this afternoon.
Well, moving on now, drivers are being warned of Frantic Friday as millions hit the road for the bank holiday this weekend.
Yeah, joining us now is GB News national reporter Jack Carson. Jack, are you seeing much road chaos where you are behind you? Up on a bridge?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just a little bit south of the junction between the M6 and the M5, just north of Birmingham. If we take a look already, the smart motorway is having to come into action today, dropping the speed on this variable motorway to 40 miles an hour, because we are expecting 20 million leisure journeys to be made between Friday today and Monday, of course, that bank holiday. Now, according to the RAC, that is the highest figure that they, since they've been analysing drivers' bank holiday travel plans that they have seen. We're expecting just around 4 or 5 million journeys today. That then continues consistently as 4 million journeys tomorrow, dropping to kind of 3 to Sunday as well. So with already these parts of north of Birmingham on the motorway, with these kind of motorway junctions, are already busy in normal traffic, let alone with those millions of people making their extra journeys. One thing stopping some people is the price at the pump, with the conflict in the Middle East still meaning people are putting off travel, but with still some decent weather here in the UK and people wanting to make the most of the last bank holiday of the summer, the roads here already very busy today.
Jack, thank you very much from high up on a bridge there. I hope that you managed to get down safely and enjoy the rest of your afternoon to come. That is it from us for now. This one will be back with you next week.
There you go.
There you go.
Did a very good impression.
I thought I did quite well at the beginning.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Sam. Thank you very much for joining me in Britain's Newsroom. I'll be back on Monday. Sam will probably be here all weekend.
I'm here for the news at 1. I'll see you then.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another unsettled day, further heavy rain on the cards for much of the UK and the potential for further thunderstorms as well. Away from any of the rain though, it's going to feel quite warm still, particularly across more southern and eastern areas. We've got this area of low pressure out to the north and east, and we could see some quite intense rainfall close to that area of low pressure for northeastern areas of England. Elsewhere though, for England and Wales, there is a chance of some heavy, possibly thundery downpours, particularly across parts of South Wales and northern areas of southwestern England as well. This picture won't show you exactly what we're expecting, but just know there is a chance of some heavy downpours. Not everywhere we'll see them. It will be dry in places, particularly across far northern areas, but also across the southeast through much of the day after a pretty wet night last night for some areas, and still quite warm temperatures above 20 degrees to end the day before the sun goes down. As we head further north and west as well, it's a dry pitch for parts of Northern Ireland, northeastern areas of Scotland, northeastern England, though holding on to some of that rain. More in the way of cloud, and it is a little bit fresher for more northern areas. Now that fresher feel will become a little bit more dominant into the weekend, particularly as we head into Saturday morning for more northern areas as skies turn much clearer. Out to the south and west though, the next batch of rain is not far behind, and that will push into parts of southwestern England, South Wales by Saturday morning. Ahead of that though, a pretty dry and bright start to the day and a little bit cooler than it has been for the past few days. Now that rain steadily moves north and eastwards through the day, bringing many areas a spell of wet weather through Saturday morning, particularly across parts of England and Wales. It does slow down a little bit as it pushes into Northern Ireland and Scotland, but it's likely to linger here into the afternoon and the evening. And behind that for England and Wales, there will be some brighter weather, but also some risk of some further heavy downpours, and the winds will pick up as well. So a real mixed picture. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the biggest, greatest Great British giveaway of the year so far. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this brand new McClure Fusion could be yours. We'll also boost your bank account too with a further £35,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like.
For a chance to win, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB23 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 23rd of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 12 o'clock on Friday, the 28th of August. I'm Nana Akweer.
And I'm Mark White. More than 200 extra police officers have been drafted into Middlesbrough following a string of deadly incidents linked to organised crime. So just how did Middlesbrough become a war zone? And can the police bring its deadly crime feud under control?
Yes, officers from across the country, the likes of detectives to armed responders here in Middlesbrough to deal with this spate of violent incidents that's left 9 people dead. I'll be speaking to an MP here who's called these incidents terrorism.
Well, John Healey quit as Defence Secretary, demanding Britain spend more on the military. But now, as Chancellor, he's set to shelve his own target. With the threat from Russia growing, can Britain afford to delay boosting defence spending?
The search for 33 missing British nationals in Nepal continues amid fears that Nepal and neighbouring Tibet could be hours away from a second deadly flash flood.
Back here at home, Piddington villagers release a protest song titled Battle for Britain as the area prepares for a referendum against migrant accommodation. Take a listen.
It's the battle for Britain. Piddington roars. Villages and towns hear the call. United we stand, shoulder to shoulder.
Very catchy. Well, after a summer of scorching heat waves, the August bank holiday is set to be a washout, with heavy rain expected to cause flash flooding and traffic delays.
Well, we're expecting